So the first step is called centering, and this is the most basic step of throwing. Make sure your wheel is dry to start, and put the ball of clay down and pound it on. Squish it as it turns as you turn the wheel, and make sure it's stuck. After, turn on the wheel to about medium speed and put on some water, and use your lower part of your hand, your pinky, to push as you push forward and squeeze the clay in between your hands. Now if you squeeze too much, your clay will either come off of your wheel or split. If you don't squeeze enough, then the clay won't change shape as it is on the camera, like how I am doing. What I'm doing now is, see my left hand, I'm doing it one-handed so you can see what's happening. I'm pushing down, forward, and down and forward at the same time. So, see it's more diagonal. I'm using the palm of my hand to push forward. Now my lower fingers, my pinky and this next finger down, is acting as a brace in front of the clay to squeeze. And I'm always putting on some forward pressure so the clay bends forward, and as you squeeze at the same time, the clay should go up. On the way down, I again apply some forward pressure and press down to see how the clay is always tilting at one part in one direction. Now I showed you with one hand so you can see, but you should be doing this two hands, like so. I'm pushing forward with my palm and squeezing using the lower parts of my fingers as a brace. Bringing my hands up as the clay goes up, and then down using my palm again, or it's actually the lower part of my thumb that's connected to my palm that I'm using to push the clay down. Occasionally you might need water. If the clay is too dry, use water. Don't use too much or your clay will lose its strength very quickly. This is another angle at throwing or centering, and here we go. So again, make sure your clay is stuck on the wheel. Spin your wheel about medium to medium, a little faster than medium speed. Don't go full blast. Add some water to the clay so your hands don't stick to the clay, and gently start pushing forward with your hands and squeezing the clay between your palms and fingers as you bring the clay up. Now if you squeeze, the clay should go up automatically and your hands just follow through. Just follow the clay up as the clay goes up as you're adding pressure. Now on the way down, you're going to use the lower thumb part of your palm and you're going to push forward and down and relax out very slowly. Again, I'm using one hand so you can see what's happening. And again, relax very slowly out. Okay, I'm going to do an example where I exit very quickly. So here I'm squeezing the palm, squeezing the clay, moving it up very slowly, and now I'm pushing the clay down and suddenly take my hands off. So see how that the clay jiggled out of center? You have to very slowly take your hands off. And again, that's a bad example. But don't panic. All you have to do is put your hands on the clay again, very nice and steady, and release your hands off the clay very slowly. Now see how my hands are very stable. My arm is in my thigh, and next to my body, and my hands don't really move with the clay. And I'm doing a good job, so my hands are not moving at all. It's very stable. But if you don't keep your arms stable and next to your body, Your hands will move with the clay or follow the uncenteredness of the clay. To check the centeredness of the clay, I'm using my fingers. See, my fingers didn't move. Now, if your clay looks like this, that means it's off-centered. So in that case, again, you have to push, tilt the clay, squeeze, and slowly exit out as you push the clay down or up to put it back in center. And this is a good practice too. Try pushing the clay off center and try centering it. Once you get the centering down, it becomes second nature, but to get there, you need a lot of practice. So even if you get it the first time or the second time, even the fifth time, just keep on trying, practicing the centering. Push the clay out of center, push it back in, and repeat until you get a very nice and centered piece of clay. This is how your clay should look like before you start making the hole to make your piece. Centering is the first step of throwing, and getting this process down as second nature is going to help you out through the rest of the processes in throwing.